Hello everyone, welcome back to another Friday and another casual champion review. I have not been looking forward to this one at all. Got out last week, got to play Cho'Gath, one of my favorite characters this week. It's Corki, the Corkster. God, you look horrible. He's not even animated right. What is that? It looks like he's glitching. It's not even a proper animation. God, this character is so bad. I'm not looking forward to it today, especially considering this is the second time I'm recording this because the last game was, well, it doesn't disappoint though. Fan art section. Yes, I'm surprised there's so much of it this time, actually. I feel like Corki would have been one of those characters that people wouldn't have been inspired to make art of at all, but there is quite a lot, actually. Few of the dog skin, which is the best one, by the way. So that's great. Thank you, fellas. Wonderful. It's kind of funny we're doing Corki immediately after Cho'Gath, the last sea champion, but it's more so that because they both have no lore. In most circumstances, they basically don't exist in the League of Legends canon. Well, Corki at least has the benefit that he appeared in a cinematic. I know Cho'Gath technically did, but that was back in like 2012 when the League of Legends itself was still canon, so I don't really count that. So I guess in terms of what Corki actually is, like the small bit of lore he does have, is this lore page is actually smaller than Cho'Gath, although in his benefit, at least the entirety of his bio is about him, where Cho'Gath, most of it is just explaining what the Void is. But Corki was one of Heimerdinger's colleagues who traveled to Piltover from Bandle City to learn about technology and how to incorporate it with magic and yada yada yada. Something happens, they make a flying machine. I have the note here. Yes, it's called the Reconnaissance Operations Frontline Copter, or Rafflecopter. So that should give you a pretty good inclination of how well thought out this character was, and also what era this character was designed in. So with Heimer, they make a bunch of flying contraptions, since that seems to be what Corki's interested in the most, and he pilots the Rafflecopter and flies around. All Runeterra, I guess, just looking for stuff, doing reconnaissance. That's all he does. He has no story, no real motive, no real character, at least not in the bio. He's kind of just nothing. He practically doesn't exist. At least Cho'Gath has a sort of interesting idea where there's the imminent threat that this giant monster will devour the entire world. Corki's just some old man flying around in a helicopter pieced together with duct tape and spit. I think Corki is even more upsetting to me personally because I really love old characters. I think having old characters in video games is not seen too often, and often it's not executed very well. League has the benefit, at least, well, I say benefit. Swain is probably the kind of oldest character we have that's actually worthwhile. They keep aging him down in all his skins, which kind of sucks, but we do have Zillion, who is technically our oldest character, or visually oldest, but his model looks even worse than Corki's. What the hell? How that's even possible. The entire character really just feels like an afterthought more than anything. They're like, oh, what do we put in to make something unique? I don't know. Steal some character from Dota? I'm fairly certain this is just a copy-paste character from Dota. He looks like it, because aesthetically he clashes so much with Runeterra. He doesn't look like he belongs from Piltover. It doesn't look like he belongs from Bandle City. And that's probably because for a while we didn't know if Corki was a Yordle or he's just a really weird looking old man. And that's reflected in his design. Just nothing about him really works. The copter looks too modern military. It looks like it's made out of a bunch of random materials thrown together, which I guess is in line for Bandle City. It doesn't look as bad as Rumble's mech, but I guess Rumble's mech is supposed to look bad on purpose, I think. But Corki himself is the worst part of it to me. He looks too much like some weird looking old guy, but also has the proportions of a Yordle, so you're left wondering, what is this guy? What's his deal? Where does he come from? Why is he like this? And Riot doesn't really know or really care. I feel like that's emphasized even more if you guys probably know the tale of Corki's voice actor, how it was just some random guy they picked off the street, brought him into the studio for like 45 minutes and paid him $300. And that's how we have Corki voice lines to this day. And on those voice lines, I'm gonna there's a few characters in this game that I completely mute the voice lines most of the time. Which is ironic considering I am weird that in my audio settings I have the voice line set as the highest because I like listening to the characters and their personality. But there's some characters like Seraphine, like Kiana, like Ezreal that just annoy me to holy hell and back. Corki is one of them, not because his voice lines themselves are super annoying. They're not very interesting. They're just a bunch of random pilot quotes with no context at all. Even though he doesn't say do a barrel roll. That's baffling. The quotes are memorable, like that, but he just says them ad nauseum. He says his quotes so often, and he has so little of them that it becomes grating very, very quickly. What are you? The thing about his design that's really upsetting is because we have this old-ass, clunky-ass model that really is in desperate need of an update. And how would you update Corki? Well, because it's confirmed he's a Yordle now, you'd probably try and make him look like one, right? You'd make him have the big ears, you'd give him some more Bandle City nature-esque attributes to his clothing, you'd make the mech look a bit more fantastical because, oh no. I'm sure many of you already know by now, but Corki did get the big redesign he'd always wanted and showed up in the cinematic actually, and it was fantastic. I don't think I could have possibly asked for a better Corki design. Everything about it just is an improvement on Corki in every conceivable way. The goggles, different, they look practical. They got the little swirlies on them to represent Bandle City, since that's kind of Bandle City's primary iconography. The blue suit with the red scarf streaming behind him to give him that visual and color contrast, whereas default Corki's just a bunch of yellows, muted yellows at that, and grays and browns. It's just really gross color scheme to look at. The copter looks so much more fantastical and not like it should function at all, because the normal copter doesn't look like that either. But this new version looks so weird in its shape language. But it feels Bandle City because of all the swirls and that kind of stuff. My favorite part about the new Corki design, though, is the helmet, and that's mainly because, like I said earlier, people confuse Corki a lot for just some weird-looking old man, so the best way to change him to make sure people know he's a Yordle immediately is the big poofy ears. So what they did ingeniously, I think, is they had this big cap that goes on his head, kind of like how he does right now, without the big random spikes, instead of the little swirly nub that's shape of a plant, Bandle City iconography again. And I like that not just because it incorporates what you people would know Yordles to be about, but because it ironically makes him look even more like a pilot. Okay, it makes him look more like a pilot because the ears folding down are of a similar color to how he is, how the helmet is. So you get that kind of visual look that it looks like an aviator's cap, which is fantastic. That's such a cool way to incorporate, make him look like a Yordle and make him look more like a pilot. It's such a perfect blend of both worlds. They also made his mustache a lot bigger to cover up most of his face, but now he looks like those, you know, goofy old man caricatures where they don't have any facial features beyond just a nose and glasses and a mustache. It makes him look older and like the funny little goofy old man he's probably supposed to be. I say probably because the only bit of characterization we've ever had for Corki is in that same cinematic they revealed the design. But the thing that upset me about that design is because we saw it in the cinematic, we got promotional material about it, we got a new voice actor, everything I could have wanted from a Corki redesign, and I was sure, you know, Legends of Runeterra at this point had been doing a couple rework designs to incorporate into their game with new voice acting, all that kind of stuff. So I was thinking Wild Rift had done some stuff like that, not to this degree. They've done some stuff with Janna and Malphite and updating them a little bit, but not to this degree with Corki. So I was ecstatic to see that he was coming to Wild Rift. Same with Kennen, using the Warriors or the Awakened cinematic one. I can't remember which one is which. But regardless, I was beyond excited to see this new updated version of Corki appear in game, since it was in all the promotional material, and it wasn't. They used the normal Corki design in Wild Rift. Like the model looks better, sure, but all the design flaws are still there. Why would you do that? Why did you go through all the effort of making this beautiful cinematic, introducing these people who have never probably heard of Corki before to Corki, and then that's just not the one you use in game? Why? It's like if they had a new cinematic for Wild Rift now, and they had that new design of Vladimir, although I don't think the Vladimir upgrade is nearly as good as Corki's was, but they used that design in a trailer, and then they reveal that in-game, in Wild Rift, they're still using the old version of Vladimir. wouldn't that just be confusing? And I wasn't expecting him to get new animations or voice lines really, but why would you advertise a new design that drastic if you're not going to use it in the game itself? It just felt really scummy. I felt cheated, to be honest. Especially when Corki is so old and is one of those characters that really deserves the VGU more than most, I think. Moving away from me ranting about how Corki's Wild Rift design isn't in League, his gameplay, I don't like it. It's weird. How do I explain this? So I don't find Corki as unsatisfying as some other champions I've covered in this series so far. Like Anavia is a bit more boring, or Annie's a bit more vanilla than Corki. At least Corki has the upside of the package, which he didn't have way back in the day before they did the 80 carry item update. Like this package, this is fun. I like this. This is easily the most fun and best part about Corki that you can only do once every 5 minutes. That's criminal. It's just like, yeah, sure. You pick Corki, you get to have fun every 5 minutes. It's fine. Wow, I did it. I feel nothing. I think it's just because so many of Corki's moves feel very unsatisfying. For an ult, I mean, it's basically like a weird version of Kog'Maw, but Kog'Maw feels like you have a bit more agency in aiming, it provides vision, and it feels more thematically correct for the champion of his stature, although I guess it works for Corki as well. But most of Corki's other moves just don't feel satisfying. Like, this Q comes out way too slow. It's kind of a weird angle. It like lobs up into the air. It's just weird. The W, that works fine enough, although I think Tristana's jump is more fun. And the E move, man. This E move has to be one of the most... Oh, okay, well, I didn't even get an assist. There we go. The move fucking sucks. I hate it. It's like Rumble Q, but just... you don't get that power. You don't feel the flamethrower coming out. It feels like you're shooting pin needles at these people. It's so unsatisfying. I do tend to call Corki the Thanos of League of Legends, though, and that sounds kind of weird. It's not because he's Thanos or he's a villain in that way. He just shocks you with the amount of damage he does. I built Static Shiv. I'm going Muramana. I'll probably go Triforce. On any other champion, this build wouldn't make any sense at all. You're building some weird AP items, some AD items, some mana stuff. It's so all over the place, and yet you let Corki get those items. Later on in the game, I'm just going to be able to one-shot people out of nowhere. And the damage is almost invisible. The abilities he has don't look like they should do a lot of damage. I guess even in this game, something like Jhin 4th Shot or Pyke Ult or Mordekaiser Slam, those look like big, heavy-hitting attacks that should do a lot of damage. But Corki just looks like he's throwing out little its and bits at you. It doesn't feel impactful. It doesn't feel satisfying. He's one of those characters I feel like I haven't played at all, and yet somehow I'm Mastery 4 on him. I don't know where that came from. Same thing with Anavia. Maybe I played him a lot back in the early days, but I don't really remember, because this character's just not very memorable. The most exciting thing about Corki is the package, and you can only do that once every 5 minutes. I'm bored most of the time playing this character. I'm just farming until I get my big items so that I can do a package or my ult will do a little bit more damage. It's just, if I'm going to play a character that has to wait this long to do the big damage, like look how much damage I'm doing right now, I'd rather just play Asol. Because at least then I'm playing a cool, badass space dragon and throwing meteors and galaxies and breathing fire and stuff. That's cool. Asol also has the benefit of being an actually fun character to listen to with fun voice lines to listen to. I know Corki is charming for some people in his current state, but I just find him so annoying. If he was more like how he was in the Wild Rift cinematic, I'd probably play him off of the personality, because that personality, that's what I like about Corki. That's kind of the goofy, crazy old man still stuck in his old ways about the glory days of the Force or whatever it is that Pandal City has that's equivalent to the army. I think out of all the champions in League of Legends, he is easily in the top 10 for needing a VGU the most. Ah, god damn it. What? You know, usually that would happen, and I just cut to my death. But I got a kill somehow. Awesome. I think he's up there with Shaco and Zillion and LeBlanc, just really needs the whole shebang. Needs a big visual overhaul, gameplay overhaul, just to be more satisfying and fit into the world of Runeterra. The benefit of Corki, at least, is like Zillion as well. The job of the new design is already done for him. Wild Rift did it, even if they didn't use it, but you don't have to go through that design process of remaking his character or where he belongs in Runeterra, because it's already done for you. I guess the last thing I can mention about Corki is his skins. We all know Corki is the best one by far. No contest. It's just... talk about reinventing the character in a funny way. That's what I imagine Corki as. This funny old man doing funny old things. And the fact that it's a corgi, an actual dog flying around, feet waddling like he's swimming, little tail wag. Oh, it's perfect. I don't think you can ever make a better Corki skin than that. If I'm being honest, pretty much all the other Corki skins suck. The esports one, there's a Firecracker one, I think people mostly forget. He has 2 legendary skins, the Ice Toboggan and Red Baron, which kind of surprised that one's in the game. The fact that they are classified as legendary skins was back in the day when what would classify as a legendary was not a chroma. We weren't even at the point yet where skins like Gentleman Cho'Gath existed that gave unique voice lines. These are just legendary skins for reasons unknown, and that one's even worse because if you remember back at the Riot 10-year anniversary, everyone got a legendary skin, or legendary skin shard for free. I don't remember which. But regardless, everyone in some way or fashion got a free legendary skin. So while some people were getting their Darkstar Threshes or Dunkmaster Dariuses, I got Red Baron Corki. That's really all I have to say about Corki, if I'm being honest. I'm kind of surprised I talked about him for this long because he's kind of a nothing character. At least Cho'Gath, I had a nostalgic connection to him. But with Corki, I feel nothing. This character is nothing to me. I can't believe that anyone actually mains this character. I can't believe anyone actually likes this character. I feel nothing. I would love for him to get the update that was given to us with Wild Rift, but at the rate Riot's going with visual updates, not even getting Teemo's ASU until late 2024, it's going to be a long time till Corki is in a state where he really belongs in Runeterra, and that kind of sucks. Alright, well, the game's finally ending. Didn't take as long as the last one, thank God, but it means I never have to play Corki again! Oh no! Now I don't have to play Corki ever again. Next week I can play a character I like playing, and that's Darius. So, till next week, fellas, I'll see you on the next casual review, alright? Goodbye.